Four flames for four fables of frightening fiction. The candle's blaze dances with the tale, but at its end, its light will fail. You may even hear conjured incantations whispered from the flames of the candle wick. However, I must forewarn you, a price to be paid should not be ignored. Some mysteries are better left unexplored. This being, when the last of the light dies, something truly terrifying will be revealed. But fret not for now, for the candles burn bright, and everything in the world is right. Thus, without any further delay, let us put these stories on display. Lucas lived in a single-bedroom apartment next to the campus. He spent most of his time either in front of his computer or in class. He was a loner that preferred to keep to himself. Uneventful was the default state of life. Pursuing a degree in computer engineering required that he focused on his studies. Although his days could be described as boring, the night, well, it was quite different. About a month back, he noticed a strange individual standing under a tree just outside his window. Lucas tried to ignore it, most likely assuming it was a drunk. After all, it was a college town, and drinking was the local pastime. But each night he looked out the window, he would be back, just standing there, staring into his window. What could he do? It was not like he owned the common area outside his apartment, so he invested in some curtains. But even the curtains did not help. Although he tried to focus on his programming, Lucas could feel that the man was outside. Why was he so focused on his window? Why only at night? After multiple nights of this happening, I guess he had enough. One late night, after a long session in front of his computer, he went out to confront the man. But when he went outside, the man was gone, like he had never existed. But as soon as he went back inside and looked out the window, the man returned, like a phantom that could be summoned when he looked outside. So you may be asking yourself, why do I stare at Lucas each night outside his window? Well, I like to learn everything I can about a place before I kill the owner and take what I want. And no, I don't do it for money. It's about the thrill. I consider myself a patient man who takes joy in his work. Lucas was looking out the window again tonight, certain I was hiding in the shadows watching him. Lucas was half right. I was watching him, but this time I was watching him from the closet behind him. Clocking into the night shift at the Hotel Riverview was starting to feel normal. Getting the gas heater to light at the front desk was always the first task. It was an old building that was desperately in need of a remodel. Arthur was pretty certain the front desk heater was from the 50s, which explained why it took 15 minutes of work before it would produce any heat. However, after 30 minutes of every trick he had learned over the last 2 weeks, it failed to ignite. Guess he was going to freeze tonight. Arthur grabbed his coat from the back room and slipped it on before returning to the front desk. The job was boring but easy. The bulk of the work was reactivating card keys to rooms or replacing lost keys. Sometimes people would check in at night from a late flight, but that only happened once in the last 2 weeks. Then he would look over a report of processed cards from the day, making sure all the payments cleared. The last task of the night was to mop and clean the lobby. However, most of the job was waiting at the front desk and being ready to answer the phone. The front desk associate was not allowed to leave the area unattended. Most likely some rule that was created that no one questioned, but everyone followed like it was the undisputed truth. This made grabbing a smoke break extremely difficult, so he would open the side window in the lobby and finish his cigarette inside. He was sure it was frowned upon, but what else was he supposed to do? Arthur decided he was going to try to skip it tonight. He needed to quit anyways. Because of the rule, the night shift also had a hotel custodian. Becky had been doing the job for years now. She spent each night running around the building doing whatever checklist was created for her by the manager. He tried to start a conversation with her a couple of times, but it went over about as well as mixing milk and vinegar. She was the kind of person who wanted to get the job done and skip the small talk, which meant he was spending each night alone. Arthur took care of the beginning of his shift tasks, helped a couple of customers get new card keys, and extended the stay for one couple. This helped pass the first hour, but once 11 p.m. rolled around, the hotel became a ghost town. Only the sound of light music and a strange rotten egg smell remained in the small lobby. He spent 15 minutes trying to track down that smell, but he'd be damned if he could find it. Guess he would ask Becky about it later. Just as he was getting ready to start looking over the payment processing report, he saw her. Coming from the hallway was a woman in a white dress. Each light she passed dimmed the hallway as if she was draining the energy from the room. The already cold lobby felt frigid now. Arthur could feel his hair standing up on his body, but his mind had not caught up with his instincts. Finally managing to stutter out a meek response, "Can I help you?" With the sounds of his words, her head snapped towards him, the woman's eyes meeting his own. Looking at them caused Arthur to freeze in place, horrified but unable to scream. They were black marbles, void of any human resemblance. Then she turned away and hobbled down a side hall. Once again being able to move, he walked past the front desk and looked down the hall at the school who now inhabited the hotel. As much as he wanted to run out the main door, he needed to know if he in fact saw this thing or imagined it. The woman in white continued her path down the hall, nearing an elevator with each slow step. The reason for this strange creature's odd walk became obvious at a second glance. Bone was protruding out of her legs, which should have made any movement impossible. Yet she reached the elevator despite her injuries. Stepping onto the lift, the woman in white turned around, looking at Arthur. She raised a thin, contorted arm and waved at him. The sound of bone snapping followed each movement of her hand. As the elevator door closed, he heard the woman speak a single phrase to him in the dark. "See you soon." Arthur stared at the closed doors, frightened and confused in the dark hallway, but unsure how to explain this event. Next to the elevator was a sign in bold letters with the words "Staff Only" printed on the plate. He was not aware that they had a staff elevator, and he was certainly never using it after tonight. Managing to peel himself away from the light gray carpet of the hall, Arthur returned to the front desk. Becky pushed her cleaning cart past his desk, focused on the task at hand. She didn't bother to even acknowledge that Arthur was in the lobby. Normally, he would have honored her commitment to engage people as little as possible. But tonight he needed the reassurance from someone else, to know he was not alone and maybe an explanation. "Hey, you got a sec?" Becky rolled her eyes, obviously annoyed by the interruption. "What have you got?" assuming something needed to be either fixed or cleaned. "I think I saw someone hurt in the hallway," said Arthur, unsure how to start this conversation. Becky's face changed from annoyed to concerned. "Are they still in the hall?" "No, they walked away on broken legs, I think. She was wearing a white dress and went up the staff elevator." Becky's face returned to annoyed again, grabbing her cart and pushing it away from the desk. As she exited the lobby, Becky shouted to Arthur, "Don't know who told you that story, but it's not funny." Arthur replayed the conversation in his mind again, trying to find the joke. He was starting to get the feeling that his picture was missing an important piece of the puzzle. Part of him just wanted to go to work and pretend it didn't happen. But like a fish hooked on a line, he had no choice but to follow the path to its end. Summoning his courage, he went back to the hall, looking for the woman in white. The lights appeared to be normal, and the temperature was back to cold instead of freezing. However, one detail was unexplainably different. The hallway did not have a staff elevator. Going to the end of the hall confirmed a solid wall, no hidden doors or optical illusions. But he saw her enter the elevator, even read the sign that said "Staff Only." Softly tapping on the wall caused a hollow sound to reverberate back. Certainly something was behind the wall, but he couldn't find any way to reach it. Then he heard a light knock answer from behind the wall, followed by a muffled voice. Soon. Arthur jumped back as if the very wall jolted him, forcing him away from it. Retreating from the hall, he grabbed the phone on his desk. He knew Becky didn't want to talk, and he could care less at this point. Getting answers and some kind of reassurance took precedence over everything now. Calling the utility room was the best bet for reaching her. After letting the phone ring for over a minute, an annoyed Becky finally answered. What now? Look, if this is a joke, I don't get it. I really saw someone get on the staff elevator, and now it isn't there. Can you take a look with me? Pleaded a desperate Arthur. He just needed someone to confirm he was not losing touch with reality. All he wanted was his world to make sense again. After a prolonged silence, Becky responded. Oh hell, you are serious. You really saw her? Who is she? Look, I thought you were just BSing me before. I've never seen her, but the staff used to tell this story about the hotel before most of them got laid off. I figured I was the last person who knew. Without thinking about it, Arthur pulled out a cigarette and started fidgeting with it. What's the story? So back in the 80s, the hotel had a couple staying here on a honeymoon. This young bride came down to the lobby to do something. She decided to take the staff elevator instead of the lobby elevator. Guess she got lost or something. Well, turns out that was a mistake, because the staff elevator was one of the oldest things in the hotel, and it dropped her 4 stories. Rescue crews could not get to her in time, and she bled out. After that, the hotel was never really the same. People in town got superstitious about the place. Becky trailed off, and the phone line was quiet for a moment. So she haunts the halls or something? Asked Arthur. Yeah, that's the story at least. Too costly to fix the elevator, so they walled it up. Plus, I don't think anyone wanted to ride it again. But the woman doesn't haunt the halls. She warns people. The staff used to tease each other with this little rhyme on the night shift. If you see the woman in white, you'll be dead by dawn's first light. His heart thundered in his chest as Becky told the story. What does that mean? Asked a panicked Arthur. Look, Art, the woman in white is not just a ghost. Her perfect night got cut short, so she warns people they are about to die. She is a death omen. And they say that when you die, you'll be trapped in the elevator with her, unable to move, and no one able to hear you scream. Arthur heard a stifled laugh break through the line. Unable to contain it any longer, Becky let a roar of laughter out. Oh man, I had you going good. That's not funny, said Arthur with a bit of ire in his voice. You get as old as me, you learn that stuff is a bunch of bull. I'm going to come down to the front desk and we'll find a logical explanation for what you saw. Becky hung up the phone, leaving Arthur standing in an empty lobby. His nerves felt shot and he decided he needed a smoke break. He was trying to cut back, but tonight was not the night. Cracking the window, he fumbled with the lighter. Just as the flame was produced from the $2 igniter, his mind put together the pieces. He looked at the broken heater, the rotten egg smell that was growing stronger every minute. Oh hell, it was a gas leak. The last thing Arthur saw was the woman in white waving at him as the flames engulfed the lobby. Scrolling through her favorite forums was providing her little entertainment tonight. Normally, with enough time, she could find a rabbit hole to journey down on the internet, but tonight was coming up barren. Everything she found online was stuff she had read about a dozen times. The Sherman Ranch and the missing 411 seemed to be popular threads on her favorite forum, but she wasn't interested in taking those paths again. Echo needed something new. Her legal name wasn't Echo, but it felt like her real name. Everyone online called her Echo, and she would sometimes accidentally refer to herself by her online personality. The lines between the digital world and the real one grew thinner each passing night. Soon she'd have to start signing her rental lease with the name X Echo X. Just as she was getting ready to call it a night, Echo noticed an unread email in her inbox. The sleepiness she was feeling moments ago disappeared, replaced by the thrill of the hunt. It was from Zeta, and he tended to find the strange and unexplored areas of the internet. They met on an online forum a few years back, and would often share discoveries with each other before posting them on the forum. Echo always felt like Zeta understood what she was searching for, and that he was looking for the same thing. He was pretty much the closest thing she had to an online friend. She always assumed Zeta was a he, but they never discussed their personal lives, so they didn't actually know anything about each other. For them, it was the prospect of discovering the next online mystery that drove them each night, not friendship or connection. Opening the email revealed a short message and a hyperlink at the bottom. You gotta check this out. Found a website that uses some kind of predictive chat to let you talk to the dead, almost like a modern day Ouija board. I'm collecting screenshots and material now to post it on the forum. It's really creepy stuff. Echo grabbed a new energy drink from the box beside her computer and downed half the can. Then she clicked on the hyperlink. It took her to a black page with white text. The heading for the site was Lazarus Chat, followed by a long section for terms and conditions. She scrolled down to the bottom of the page and clicked accept. The web page redirected her to another browser window that had a timer at the bottom. It was counting down from 60 minutes. Guess they need to limit the time on the site due to traffic, Echo thought to herself. At the top of the page was a search bar with a question above it. Who do you want to speak with tonight? Figuring she would test the system, Echo typed in the name of her favorite author. Once she pressed enter, it came back with a message. Unable to reach the spirit. Well, it passed the test thus far. Her favorite author was still alive. Next, she started to type in the names of famous people who had passed away recently, and without fail, it connected her to a chat. The chat box was black with green text. It almost looked like a software system from the 80s. However, she had to admit that she was pretty impressed with the AI that was running the chat. The sessions always seemed to start with the supposed person being confused. I guess the creator wanted to give it some flavor. The responses also happened in real time and used terms that would genuinely be used by the individual. This was going to make an excellent creepypasta. However, soon she got bored talking to famous dead people and had a weird idea. Echo wanted to know if it could create dialogue for a relatively unknown person, for someone she knew personally. She typed in the name William Young, her uncle who passed away recently. Typing the name felt sad and strange, like visiting a house you no longer lived in. Echo had avoided thinking about him after the funeral. She really missed having someone in the family she could talk to about her life. He never judged her weird hobbies and felt like she could just be herself around him. The chat connected to William Young, and the green text populated the screen. Where am I? I don't know, I was hoping you could tell me, responded Echo. It looks like a room, but I don't see any walls. Echo considered her next question. She really wanted to test the abilities of the AI now. What is your name? It's Will. Who are you? The answer sent a shiver down her spine. Her uncle did call himself Will, not William, but it's not like that's a huge leap to make. She assumed most Williams went by Will. She pushed away the uneasy feeling and focused on the chat. Everyone calls me Echo 84. Funny, my niece loved the Greek myth about Echo. She dropped her energy drink on the floor after reading the response, the contents draining into the carpet. However, she could not pull her attention away from the screen. Instead, she kept reading the green text over and over again. The message danced in her mind like a wild raven let loose from its cage. Uncle Will used to read Greek mythology to her when her family would visit him for the holidays. He was an English professor who loved storytelling. It was how Echo got into creepypasta in the first place. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she came to the realization she was avoiding about the Lazarus Chat. It was not an AI creating the dialogue. But she could not accept this at face value. It was simply not possible. She had to ask a question that only her uncle would know, something that can't be found on a social media post. She wiped away the tears clouding her vision and began to type her question. What did you get your niece for her last birthday? Why do you want to know about my niece? It's important, Will. What did you get your niece for her last birthday? It was a book of short, scary stories. She likes that kind of stuff. It was Uncle Will that she was talking to on the Lazarus Chat. This wasn't some creepy pet project of a college student. It really allowed you to talk to the dead. Uncle Will, I miss you so much. I never got to say goodbye to you. Carrie, is that you? As soon as she read the green text, the chat box closed. A message replaced the box that read, "Connection lost." She typed in the name over and over again, but kept coming back with an error message, unable to reach the spirit. Finally, she slapped her keyboard off the desk, sending it flying towards the wall. Then she heard it. It was faint, but it was the sound of whispers coming from the hall. The rage and frustration drained away, being slowly replaced by cold, palpable terror. Sitting up from her desk, she listened at the door of her bedroom. It was coming from the hall, but she could not summon the courage to look beyond the barrier. Echo locked her door and went back to the computer. She had to warn Zeta that it was real, that they had meddled with forces they didn't understand. She attempted to send a direct message to him, but he appeared offline. She shot over an email and waited for a response, but still she sat at her computer without a word from Zeta. Then a dark, terrifying thought crept into Echo's mind that couldn't be ignored. She went back to the Lazarus Chat and typed in the name Zeta. A black chat box appeared and green text filled the screen. What the hell is happening? Echo covered her mouth and fought back the urge to sob. She instead focused on the chat. Outside her bedroom, the whispers grew louder with each passing moment. It was now a chant of voices speaking in unrecognizable hymns. Zeta, it's Echo. What happened to you? Echo, the chat is real. I think something bad happened to me, but I can't remember now. How is that possible? You were fine an hour ago. When the timer runs out, I think they come for you. Once you breach the other side, you can't go back. Echo had completely forgotten about the timer. Looking down at the digital display on the browser revealed she only had a couple of minutes left. The chat closed and displayed the message, "Connection lost." Echo returned to the homepage of the Lazarus Chat and scanned through the terms and conditions, looking for a way to escape this nightmare. Then she read a sentence that stripped the last fragile shred of hope she had left. Using the Lazarus Chat will result in harm, up to and including psychological distress, reality-altering experiences, and ultra-hazardous events that will cause death. The devil really was in the details. The timer at the bottom of the browser window now took over the screen, counting down the last 30 seconds she had left. Echo threw her computer out the apartment window in a desperate attempt to prevent whatever was about to happen. The voices in the hall now called her name. A thunderous knock banged on the bedroom door as Echo sat in the corner, waiting for the end. Lauren felt better after talking to her mom over the phone. Her neighborhood had experienced a lot of break-ins over the last couple of weeks. According to the gossip, nothing of value was taken. Just pictures, clothing, and personal effects. But this knowledge made her feel worse. What was the motivation in taking those kind of things? She couldn't understand it. Being alone in the townhouse at night was robbing her of desperately needed sleep. Each morning she felt like a zombie going to class, having spent the entire night listening for the sounds of an intruder, terrified her house could be next. So her mom offered to stay at her place this week to help put her mind at ease for midterms and get some much needed sleep. The day passed with Lauren trying to keep her eyes open and study the class material. Ultimately, it was an impossible endeavor, ending with her taking a nap on the couch. Waking up from a knock at the door, Lauren grabbed her cell phone from the coffee table. She had pretty much slept through the entire day. It was now 8 p.m. Looking through the peephole of the door caused her spirits to be instantly lifted. It was her mom with a small travel suitcase. Lauren opened the door and embraced her mom with a long hug. Of course, they talked every week, but it had been months since they had last seen each other. They spent a good part of the night catching up and talking about any topic that popped up in their conversation. Once 10 p.m. rolled around, Lauren helped get her mom set up in the upstairs guest room before going downstairs and picking back up her study material. After what felt like the most productive session yet, Lauren called it quits at 1 a.m. and laid down on the couch. The last thought she had before her eyes grew too heavy to stay open was that she might actually pass this semester. Waking up to the sound of her phone alarm caused Lauren to slowly pull herself off the couch. The illuminated screen revealed it was Monday, 6 a.m. That meant it was going to be a full day of classes. She quickly got ready, downed a cup of coffee, and gave her mom a quick tour of the kitchen before heading out at 7. Once she was in class, Lauren found it far easier to focus. The knowledge that her mom was keeping an eye on her house allowed her mind to concentrate on other problems. It was funny how comforting the presence of another person was in her life. Lauren decided she was getting a roommate next semester. The isolation was not healthy, and it had the bonus of getting to split the bills. After her classes, Lauren thought it'd be best to start working on collecting a few books for her research project. Getting out her phone, she sent a text message to her mom. "Hey, going to be a bit late. Need to do some research at the library." It took longer than expected for her to respond. Her mom was normally glued to the phone. After 15 minutes, she got the notification. "Okay," was all the message said. Guess she had hoped to spend some time with her. Well, she figured she could make it up to her later. It took a couple of hours to find the material she needed to start writing her research paper. Whoever invented the Dewey Decimal System must have been sadistic to the core. They have single-handedly created hours of pain for every student trying to locate 2 books on similar topics, but somehow located on opposite sides of the library. Coming back home, Lauren saw the kitchen was a mess. Clearly her mom had made something to eat, but it seemed out of character for her to leave dishes on the counter. She could hear her mom walking around upstairs and thought about going up to talk to her about the mess. However, she really did have a lot of work to do and didn't want to pick a fight right now. Sitting down on the couch, Lauren got out her laptop and started working on the project. It was time-consuming, but slowly it was starting to come together. Each sentence she put on the page made it feel like she was that much closer to passing. After a few hours of writing, she turned on the TV to take a break. Then it dawned on her that she still hadn't seen her mom. Rather than yelling upstairs, Lauren grabbed her phone and sent a text message. "Hey Mom, you ever coming down? I'm feeling a bit sick, so I thought I would stay upstairs for now." "Oh no, do you need me to get you anything?" "No, not right now, but I'll let you know." She had been so focused on getting everything she needed done, it had not dawned on her to check with her mom. But if things changed, she was only a room away, so she decided to leave her be for now. Plus, she really didn't want to get sick while trying to finish her midterm projects. Watching the TV allowed her to relax, which caused Lauren's eyes to grow heavy. Although the signs of sleep deprivation can be hidden with ample caffeine, the cost will often be paid in the most inopportune times. Rather than finishing her paper, Lauren fell asleep on the couch. When Lauren woke up at 5 a.m., the TV was off and a blanket was now covering her legs. Guess Mom must have come downstairs at some point last night to check in on her, Lauren thought to herself. Then her adrenaline spiked as she realized the paper was still not complete and it was due today. Getting the laptop out of sleep mode, she rushed to see how to complete this project with the least amount of work. It wouldn't be the best work, but maybe she could throw something together that could be turned in. The phone on the coffee table vibrated with a notification. At a glance, Lauren could see it was from her mom. Checking her phone, the message was a simple request. "Can you come upstairs?" Lauren responded back, Not right now. I fell asleep instead of finishing my paper. I'll check in with you before I leave. Going back to the laptop, she attempted to focus on the paper again. However, just as she was about to start putting words on the page, her phone vibrated again. This time it was her dad calling. Lauren debated ignoring the call, but what if it was an emergency? "Hey Dad, I can't really talk right now," said Lauren, half annoyed with the interruption. However, it was not her dad who responded. The voice on the other end of the phone chilled her to the core. "Hey hun, it's Mom. Sorry I had to leave yesterday morning, but it's been crazy here. We had a pipe in our house burst and I had to go and help your dad with it. I won't keep you long, just wanted to check in with you and let you know what happened." Lauren's mind was attempting to process the information and flood of emotions. She kept starting sentences and stopping midway through, unable to complete the thought before another one charged to the front. "You're not here?" responded Lauren at last. "Well, no. Didn't you notice I was gone?" said her mom with a chuckle. "Mom, where's your phone?" "I misplaced it somewhere upstairs. I figured I could come by later today and look for it." "Mom, I don't think I'm alone and I'm scared." A gravelly voice from behind her caused Lauren to drop the phone on the table.
"Don't worry, I'm here with you."
Ah, not so easily dissuaded. After all, these are only stories, right? Perhaps you expected a jump scare at the end of this video. Well, I promise you'll find nothing so cliche here. Instead, I'll leave you with this final thought. At some point, you'll close your eyes and go to sleep, certain in your knowledge that you are alone. But how can you be certain? Did you check the closet? Maybe the sounds of your house settling is someone moving between the space in the walls. Or perhaps if you go into your hallway, a ghostly figure will appear, unable to speak, but trying to warn you of approaching doom. But these are only stories, right? Sleep well, and until next time, my friends.